They were a year into the preliminary hearing with no visible end, and Frank Carson was close to despair. He was trapped where so many of his clients had been, alone in a chilly cell in a Stanislaus County jail. He had rebuffed every overture to cut a deal, to plead, to inform on codefendants in exchange for lenience. But guilt pierced him. He blamed himself for the plight of his wife and stepdaughter, out on bail but charged in the so-called murder plot he had supposedly masterminded. He blamed himself for the continued incarceration of 3 other codefendants, former highway patrolman Walter Wells and Pop N Cork liquor store owners Baljit, Bobby, Athwal and brother Daljit, D. Atwal. All of them had refused to implicate Carson, telling prosecutors they had nothing to say. "Boys," Carson said one day, sitting before them in a courthouse holding room. He had found a solution, he explained. He would take the blame, so they could go free. There seemed no other way out. He was in his 60s, with no kids. They were younger men, and fathers. The DA wanted him. What he did not tell them was that he had knotted up a sheet to keep under his pillow, to hang himself before they put him on a bus to prison. "No, Mr. Carson," his codefendants said. The brothers were Sikhs from the Punjab region of India. To let Carson take the blame for something he hadn't done would dishonor the family, they explained. They'd be killed if they returned to their village. Back into court they trudged for another week of state versus Carson et al., hoping that visiting Judge Barbara Zuniga would assess the evidence and scuttle the case. Carson viewed the judge, a former Contra Costa County prosecutor, as biased toward the government and credulous toward its claims. So he held small hope she would do anything when, 14 months into the prelim, prosecutor Marlisa Ferreira announced she had a big cache of evidence, including scores of audio recordings, that had not been turned over to defense lawyers. She had just found them, she said. On one of the years-old recordings, District Attorney investigator Kirk Bunch told an incarcerated Robert Woody, who became the government's star witness, how eager the D was to work with him. "We're bending over backwards for ya," he said. "We just want to see if you want to add to your story." Woody seemed to believe that detectives did not care whether his story was true or false. "Add stuff to it if it ain't true?" Woody asked. This was more ammunition to attack Woody's credibility, and the long-buried evidence confronted Zuniga with a serious problem. If she sent the case to trial, it would surely be overturned on appeal because of the prosecution's blunder. As the case against Wells eroded, with charges dropped from murder to conspiracy, he had been able to make bail. But Carson and the brothers remained in jail, and now the judge did an exceedingly rare thing. She released the 3 murder defendants on their own recognizance.